I almost turned around at the airport and flew home. My heart was pounding, my suitcase felt heavier than ever, and I wasn't sure if I could survive in a place where I didn't have any grounding. For several weeks, I felt this stubborn urge to man up and just survive. Hey everyone, I may not be fresh off the boat anymore, but I wanted to give you an update on my starting from scratch adventure. So, for a quick background, I moved to Canada from France, and neither of which was my home country. I didn't just survive, I thrived. So today I wanted to share how I built everything in just 1 year. A year later, I started from scratch. I'm filming this from my amazing apartment, a place I love. I work for one of North America's biggest corporations. I finally hold my permanent residency card, and I even met someone special along the way. It might be nothing to some, but for me, starting from zero, no job, no home, not even the right papers, felt like I was building a whole new world. And trust me, the journey was anything but effortless. There were nights I stayed up all night searching for my next place to live over the coming months because I had nowhere settled to call home, and wondering if I'd made the biggest mistake of my life. Watching my bank balance drop, wondering how many months I had left to play safe. My health, my finance, felt just uncertain. After those lonely days, I decided to shift my approach. And since the wins started to roll in, I nailed my first phone interview and heard right away how much they wanted me. I crushed each test, and step by step, I began finding my footings in every aspect, and here I am today living the life I dreamed of. I am going to share the three things that turned my struggles into real wins. I grew up in a hyper competitive society, South Korea, where success is just measured in milestones. I used to tell myself I'll be happy when I land that job, or I'll be secure when I pass this exam. But every time I hit a roadblock, like not getting a final offer after multiple interviews or seeing disappointing results from all my practice, my dopamine crash sent me spiraling into anxiety and self doubt. I still remember the day I got rejected by my dream company here. I had a strong background as designer and a solid design portfolio. Lucky enough, I landed interviews at a top Canadian companies almost as soon as I arrived. I poured my heart into every applications, and I was convinced that I'd land at least one offer. But when none came through, I felt crushed. Especially even more since that day I forgot my umbrella and it just started pouring rain. That night, I decided to flip the script. I started telling myself I'll grow as I go. And surprisingly, that shift immediately stopped my self-blame for not getting the offer, for missing out chance, because I used to treat every setback as if I lost once in a lifetime chance. But as I started to see things differently, I realized every step was progress, not just a final destination. I began celebrating small wins. For example, when I nailed a new interview tricks, or even when I just soaked up like fresh insights, I celebrated them. I recently picked up on my journal again, and it reminded me how much I used it back in that season of my life. I know it sounds cliche, but honestly, journaling is one of the most practical and authentic ways to celebrate small wins. The one that I've been using was actually a Christmas gift from a friend. I love it because it's super simple but structured. It's not just blank pages, it gives you prompts, which makes reflecting so much easier. But any journal works. The reason I'm showing you this is because I wanted to talk about the content inside so you can use it too. You can even copy it and start right away. So each page is split into two parts, morning and night. In the morning, you get prompts like I'm grateful for, what to make today great, and a positive affirmation. Then at night, you pick it up again and reflect with good things that happened today and what I learned today. Now, earlier I mentioned celebrating small wins, and when I say small, I really mean anything. Like once I celebrated finding a great platform to study on, another time it was just meeting up with another designer, and sometimes it was as simple as stepping outside for fresh air. Because here's the truth, when you start noticing the small wins, you begin to realize just how much progress you're making, even on the hard days. And that change boosted my resilience, creativity, and even my emotional balance. I worried less about failing and made clearer decisions, even when the pressure was on. During this journey, I battled imposter syndrome more time than I can count. My accent had me second guessing every move, and self doubt was always tagging along. Every time I met someone new, I'd catch myself wondering, oh, if I really belong here or if I sounded out of place. Yes, I talked about embracing a journey oriented mindset, but it wouldn't have happened without trust. Trust that my efforts mattered, trust that I was on the right path, and trust that I'll be okay. I remember when I have to drive alone, especially on familiar foreign roads, I was so scared that I didn't even want to start. But when I reminded myself I trust this journey, something shifted. I gave myself permissions to make mistakes and keep going. I remember getting behind the wheel for the first time, and after multiple driving lessons, I thought, I'm ready. But out on the Canadian road, everything just blended together. I honestly thought I'm gonna die. I'm gonna crash one of these cars really soon. Then I took a deep breath. I told myself, I trust this journey. And I slowly eased forward. And that little moment really taught me more than any classroom ever could. Think about a moment you felt paralyzed by doubt. What if you trusted yourself in a way that no one else could? On my first morning here, I had no routine, no 9 to 5, no familiar rhythm. Everything felt wide open, and I ended up wasting precious energy. At some point, I was thinking, I can't keep living like this. So I grabbed a monthly calendar and I marked my residency exam date or job application deadlines, and immediately that created some kind of urgency. So the next few weeks I blocked out study sessions, networking calls, and I even planned failure scenarios, plan B, plan C, what happens if I don't pass. I already had a next step ready. That mental safety net transformed setbacks into new beginnings. And on a daily level, I made sure to just squeeze in a morning walk for fresh air and to spot the neighborhood rabbits or goose that always made me smile. If you're anything like me and can't stick to a super strict daily planner, here's what I do instead. I use a monthly planner to jot down my top priorities for each day. I've tried a whole schedule every hour thing, but it never worked, especially when I tried to force myself to finish something in a specific time slot. So now I just map out a rough outline of my day in my daily or weekly planner and keep my monthly planner as my quick check-in for what's most important. That way I can stay flexible while still keeping my priorities clear and my schedule structured. And that loose framework kept me grounded but flexible enough to adapt when life threw a curveball. If you're standing at the airport gate, suitcase in hand, and totally unsure of what comes next, or if you're just graduated and feel on your own for the first time, or you're just gearing up for a brand new adventure, these three principles can completely transform your life in just 1 year. Journey-oriented mindset, unconditional self-trust, and intentional planning. I'd like to give you my biggest lesson I've learned through all this chaos. Don't waste your energy on regret. I used to beat myself up over everything and anything and be way too harsh on myself. But honestly, even the stupid mistakes don't matter. It might feel like it'll last forever, but it doesn't. So be gentle with yourself along the way. Trust it, enjoy it, and watch how far you can go.